We have a second panel to address the issue of governance and leadership and the role of technology in facilitating that. But before that, we're going to see a video clip of a puppet show in Kenya, which has taken us by storm with its political commentary. It's called the XYZ show, or for those of us with American accents, I think we'll have to call it XYZ. But if we hold on for just a wee bit, maybe a second, we'll be able to queue up a segment of the XYZ show. Thank you.
Fidel Castro Odinga, the son of Prime Minister Raila Odinga, recently married his Eritrean girlfriend, Amira Mikhail. This is his second marriage after a quick split from his first wife, Veronica Wanjiru. XYZ takes a look on the ramifications this may have on the Prime Minister's political leverage. My oh my.
Nasema upinduke na shika ukuta wenyewe.
Mtoto amefanya nini baba Fidel?
Sasa hii nyango imefanya mimi nipoteze kura zangu zote.
What have I done, Daddy?
Haya.
I was here the whole time.
Nyamaza. Wewe unajua mimi nimepoteza kura ngapi huko Central?
How? What did I do?
Fidel. Fidel.
What did I do?
Wewe unaacha bibi ya Kikuyu alafu unaenda kuchukua ingine kutoka Ethiopia?
Fidel.
Au ungoja. Kwani si ungetafuta Kikuyu ingine? Wewe. Ama utafuta mpaka election ipite.
Shame on you, Fidel. How can you do this to your father?
Mama,
Fidel.
I love her, Mom.
Love? Kitu gani?
Fidel.
Au ungoja mpaka 2013 hiyo love yako?
This is a U.S. Navy, Osama. We've got you at last.
Osama? I'm sorry, my friend. You must have confused me with the Al-Qaeda leader, Osama bin Laden, but I'm not me. Totally.
Don't bullshit us, Osama. We know it's you, and you're going down.
I got no apologies to make. That's why I shot your head, you cave-dwelling fool. U.S. Al-Qaeda killers. You know who the realist is? Navy SEALs, we bring it. Haha, that's right. First off, shot your head in your living room. U.S. when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a pro, but I shot your head. We bust Al-Qaeda niggas dead for life. Plus Osama trying to see me weak, hearts are ripped. Al-Zawahiri and Osama some mark ass. We keep on coming while we're running for your oil, steady gunning, keep on busting on the fools. You know the rules. Gaddafi, go ask Osama how I'll leave you, cut your old bust ass. Now see you in pieces, now be deceased. Al-Qaeda don't play around with real G's, quick to snatch bombs off your jackets. Forget peace. I'll let them niggas know it's on for life. Don't let the U.S. Navy ride them camels. Haha. Al-Qaeda murdered on wax and killed. Play with me and get your caps peeled. You know, see. Grab your pants when you see Obama. Call your camels when you see Obama. You bomb the U.S.
Ladies and gentlemen, if only our politicians were so adept at singing and being musicians, maybe the world would be a better place. Those caricatures are very much the brainchild on the handiwork of one Gado, who is to my immediate left this time. Gado is a political cartoonist whose reputation extends across Africa, but who is especially famous here in Kenya, where his cartoons are published in the daily papers. Amira Mikhail has traveled all the way from Cairo, Egypt, to be here with us today. She is a vocal protester, a vocal protester during last year's Arab Spring, and now works to protect street children and women in Egypt, using her blogs and social media outreach to connect communities. Charles Onyango-Obbo is the executive editor for Africa and digital media at the Nation Media Group and the former managing editor of the Ugandan newspaper, The Monitor. He's a prolific writer who is widely respected for his meticulous research and outspoken opinions. And I'm going to hand over to Charles to start off this discussion.
Thank you, CB. That perhaps, this question follows logically. You've made a very interesting journey from a very traditional medium of political commentary, satire, which is cartooning, and you are now into a multimedia format, very creative. Does anyone pay attention? Do you feel that where you are now, with XYZ, for example, that you have more effect, that more people pay attention to that than they do when, or used to, when you are just appearing in the newspapers only?
Yes, I think there is a need for not only the governments, but all leaders, but everybody to pay more attention to the digital platform. I started off as an editorial cartoonist, whereby I would do an editorial cartoon to be published in a newspaper, and sometimes for a cartoon to be published in a different, publication has to take even weeks. Today, it only takes, a matter of minutes. So, we need, yes, leadership needs to pay more attention to what is happening in the digital area. I think with XYZ, which we have just seen, we are able to reach many more Kenyans around the world through the internet. We have an online channel which actually, whenever we put every other episode there, but more so we also put, we broadcast stuff that is not aired on television. We have been appearing on a very small TV station, KISS, which has always been in Nairobi, and now they are all over the country, but still its reach is smaller. But through the internet, we've managed to reach millions. Today, we reach, XYZ reaches a total of 8 million. I mean, half of those is online. So there is a need to pay more attention to the online community, what is happening in the community, because that's where you can reach more people. And more so, the technology is evolving. You have more smartphones coming up. People are able to access content through their phones. And I think content producers, government, NGOs, civil rights activists needs to pay more attention to that area more than before.
Let us speak to the point you made that the stuff that you don't air, and I know that my own media sometimes finds some of your stuff too extreme and doesn't publish it. And you put that online. So the argument has been made that if you work in a conventional medium, you have many editors and people who think it's right or wrong. That when you go directly, for example, with your censored cartoons online, that someone should look at this, that in fact, this is the case for censorship, that you cannot just trust one Gado to make the right decisions, that we need a council of wise men, digital censors out there, to make sure that people like you don't ruin the fabric of great nations.
I think first I must say it's a very dangerous thing to have a committee to decide, what cartoon should run on a newspaper, or what skit should run on a TV station. And having been on the receiving end of censorship, throughout my work, I think I'm totally against the idea of digital censorship. I think the evils and dangers of censorship far outweighs the evils of free digital arena. I'm saying that because even with the publications of the cartoons, Mohammed cartoons in France and in Danish a couple of years ago, I think you will always have people who would try to incite. You will always have people trying to cause chaos. But again, that area should not be censored or should not be controlled. I mean, to use probably Ushahidi's example, one could only imagine if the government of Kenya were in control of the Ushahidi platform during the chaos we had a few years ago. Obviously, Ushahidi were able to broadcast to the world and tell the world what is happening in a more effective manner. And so, once again, I think, whereas, yes, this is an area, the digital area, the digital arena is growing, is evolving. You know, there are a lot of, in these parts of the world, you know, we haven't incorporated a lot of that into our laws and so forth. And there's always an argument that, yes, you know, you can have, you need to control it so that you can have, you don't have Egypt, rather you don't have what has happened in countries like you know, France and the Middle East, you know, because of the publications of the cartoons. But for me, as a content producer, I think that should not happen. That should be left to content producers, should be regulated by content producers, and it should not be controlled.
Amira, to come back to you, you know, this is a social good summit, and I think one of the, you know, the stories that are gaining currency in this digital space is how do we evaluate the outcomes? How do we evaluate the, you know, because if you take, you know, in Arab Spring, that really, in the end, when it was done, when the dust settled and the elections were done, you know, the liberals, you know, the forces who represented, you know, the best side of that whole, you know, the social media spin-off, they didn't do very well in the elections, that the societies went back in Egypt, in Tunisia, you know, Libya slightly different, that they were actually hijacked by conservative forces. So how do you maintain the argument you made earlier and map it against the outcome of leadership? Why is it that there are no leaders who are typical of this new, you know, economy, this new way of organizing?
I can speak especially for Egypt, obviously. The Muslim Brotherhood have been working for 30, 40 years on the ground with the people. And that is why they, I mean, as you said, hijacked. But in essence, this is why they were able to gain popularity in the elections. The revolutionaries, the liberals, were 18 months old. And most of us are young, with very, very little experience. That's a very big reality on the ground. I think that I'm a strong believer of decentralizing power. But that doesn't mean that it replaces a strong leader. I think that a strong leader is necessary. I think that someone that has vision, someone that can lead the people, but we need visionary citizens. We need visionary followers, because without that, they won't follow. And that basis, the two have to go together. So there has to be a good leader, yes, and they've had strong leadership, what I consider opposition now, but the Muslim Brotherhood and anyone who's has leadership in Egypt now, they have a very strong and positive reputation by working on the grounds with people in civil society. So.
Thanks. Finally, Gado, you know, you spoke earlier of how working in these new technologies allow you to, you know, to move across borders to reach wider audiences. Just if you can, you know, summarize in half a minute. How does that affect the way you work? You know, in terms of your relation to whether you are a local commentator or an international or Pan-African commentator?
For us, this has always been a teamwork. I mean, as a producer, we weigh and we say which content is first and foremost is relevant to Kenya. And even when we do an international content, we try to contextualize it so that it has meaning to our local audience. I mean, so
Gado,
far,
I think you have to pick and choose international versus local, and we have to stop.
Right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our audience. Thank you very much. You can see that by the end of the day, I'm going to be a very unpopular individual on this podium. And you can also see that here in Nairobi, Kenya, it's raining, which is a blessing for the nation and to our farmers, if not particularly to our technicians. Our apologies. Thank you very much indeed.